The views, opinions, and experiences shared in this episode belong to the guest and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of the SwagAbility Show or our sponsors and partners. The information discussed is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as medical or personal advice. Before making any changes to your health, habits, or lifestyle, please consult a qualified healthcare professional or your doctor. Enjoy the show. Some people get a wake-up call in life. Others get hit by a truck, literally.
Was a book about fueling your body appropriately. So I was eating.
Pandemic, if you don't mind me asking, that began to cause a stirring in your heart, or was it the fear?
What I did uncover was that a lot of our information is controlled. So that just really pissed me off.
How would you advise someone to start researching, whether it be faith, whether it be product?
If you have breath in your lungs today, you have hope, and that God has a plan for your life.
Some people get a wake-up call in life. Others get hit by a truck, literally. And for Rob Renne, that moment changed everything. What could have been the end became the beginning of a brand new life, one fueled by faith, purpose, and the power to heal naturally. Welcome to the SwagAbility Show, everyone. I'm your host, Steve Wagstaff. And on today's episode, we're talking about faith and how to rise stronger when life knocks you down. At SwagAbility, we believe that God can turn even life's hardest chapters into stories of strength. Because thriving where life finds you isn't just our message, it's our mission. Rob, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to hang with us on the SwagAbility Show.
You bet. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, yes, sir. You have had quite a ride. Reading your bio, listening to some of the other ones, I was like, how many things can happen to one man? And quite a unique life. But speaking of that unique life, why don't we go where all good stories do and start at the beginning? What do you remember about that season of life? And how did that experience that we talked about in the intro with the truck, how did that start to shift your perspective on life, health, and faith?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. It's really, really, we do have to go to the beginning because my life started off as a lot of young kids do, right? I was really into sports and athletics, and I tried everything, but running was just one of the things that I excelled at more than anything else. I think God gave me obviously a natural ability, which was awesome. But I also had a brother mentor who helped. He was 4 years older than I, and so he was able to go through things and then teach me how to be better. And so one of the things that I remember is I read a book that really transformed my life too, that became really important later on. So we'll talk about that more, but it was a book about fueling your body appropriately. So I was eating things very, very well and healthy because I was a distance runner. So in
Right.
order to run long distance, you needed to have fuel in your body. So I learned about the human body and how to train it and how to fuel.
What age were you, Rob?
I was in middle school when I read that book, right? So literally my friends were eating hot dogs and
Mhm.
hamburgers, right? And I was fueling my body just really, really well. So
What
at
a
the end of the
discipline.
race, I always had something extra. And the my competition would get so mad because they're like, how does he do that? He always has something at the end. I knew if I could stick with somebody, that there's nobody that was gonna out kick me. Just one of those things that I obviously attribute to God's gift in me, but I also knew that I had that secret, right? That I could fuel my body better than they were, and I just had that strength and knowledge that, man, God's given me this ability, and then he taught me how to be better. So that was super fun because it really transformed my running career and helped me be much better than I physically probably could have myself.
Didn't you get if I'm not mistaken, some perspective for a Division one? Get into
Full
schools?
ride running scholarship to a Division 1
Mm.
college, and it was an amazing place. I went there because they were producing professional runners out of that school, which is just was unprecedented at the time. And then I made the U.S. junior team too. I was the second best miler in the country
Wow.
my second year in college, and I was on a trajectory to make the U.S. team, and just my coaches thought I would would break a world record in the mile, which was my specialty. That's what they saw my progression, and so that was all of my goal is to continue to do that. And
Wow.
man, life had a dramatic change for me one winter day out in Utah. I was out on a training run, and 10-mile run with my buddy, and we were out in the middle of nowhere on this run, and all of a sudden my friend jumps into the ditch and yells my name, and I turn around and I see this 4x4 truck coming and slides into me and hits me in the hip and threw me 36 feet, landed straight on my face and knocked me unconscious. And it was really, really brutal. I'm really lucky and blessed to be alive. I almost died that
Okay.
particular day. Number of circumstances happened where I should have perished that day, but I didn't. And so ever since that day, I knew God had a plan for me. I wasn't sure what it was. It took me a long time to figure it out, but I'm excited to at least talk through with your audience how I believe I've figured it out, and what the path he has me on now. It's a lot different than what I thought it was going to be.
For sure. I remember instinctively for me, for some reason, after I broke my neck, I was thinking about it as you were telling your story, uh, not being able to move from the shoulders down. And the same thing, I didn't pass out, but when they turned me over, um, and floated me into the water, I had that same feeling that life has a different trajectory now. I don't know what it is, but there was a piece that God had something for my life. And so I'm just curious, did you grow up with a religious background or a faith, or did, like me, did you discover your faith later in life?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So I did grow up as an Episcopalian, and so I had a basis of my faith, but man, I really didn't practice it well. I wore this cross, and this cross was because I lived in a town where there was 50% LDS people, the Mormon faith, and then
Yes,
50% everything else.
gotcha.
I wore this to say I'm not Mormon,
Yes,
rather than
that's
why I
good.
should have been wearing it, right?
Yep.
Um, and I did go to church, but it was one of those Christians who didn't really understand my faith. I didn't understand the Bible. And I would go to church on Sunday, and then I wouldn't think about church until the next Sunday. And so that was just, unfortunately, the way been how I personally dealt with my faith. It wasn't really solid. So I knew there was a God. I believed in God, but I wasn't a true faithful Christian. And I didn't like to talk about religion because I didn't know enough about it. So I just tried to avoid the topic and avoid the conversation. And I did that for a really, really long time. But I'm excited to say that I'm a lot different than that now.
Amen. What about recovery? What did that look like, Rob? Hospitalized for a
It was
period
brutal.
of time? Yeah.
To be honest, yeah, the first, it only took a couple months literally to recover from that. I was really lucky. I broke my pelvis in multiple places, and if my pelvis would have been broken over a quarter of an inch in a different area, I would have been in a body cast for 6 months and
Mm.
not been able to move for 6 months. But I got really lucky in the place where it was broken, and it only took me a few months to be able to walk again normally. And then I tried to make a comeback to run again, and tried for another year to do that, and just my body physically changed. I had for 10 years straight had been running so much that my body was thin, and my muscles hadn't developed correct, at least hadn't developed fully. And when I had that period of time, multiple months where
Yeah.
my body wasn't moving and wasn't working out, my body filled out. It's like muscles just grew. And so by the time I actually started working out again and tried to lose weight and tried to get back to the body that I had before my accident, it was just really hard on my body. So I had all sorts of hip and shin issues trying to run again. My body had just transformed. It had blossomed up to another 20 extra pounds of muscle on my body that my body wasn't prepared for. So that was it would really made it difficult and frustrating, and I just for a year's period went into really a tough period. It was like I couldn't be around running because I wasn't able to be a runner again, and that was my kind of my identity. And so I had to shift, right? And I did shift focuses, and I ended up doing what the world tells you to do. The world tells you to go, finish your degree and get a job, and go work
Yeah.
for a large corporation, and so, I did that. I did all of that. I got married, I had 3 kids, I had the house with the white picket fence. I did everything that the world tells you to do, man. I was like, "Okay, that's what I'm gonna do." And, I did it, and I did it pretty well, but at the same point, I literally was living for this guy, right? I was living for me, and how can I improve my family? How can I improve myself? How can I give my kids the best college? How can I give my best, kids the best schools, right? That was my whole life. And then I had a dramatic change in my life again, which was the pandemic. It had a really, I call it my second truck. When that second truck hit me, it really changed my life in a very, very similar fashion that that first one did, right? The first one, no, that's fine. Go for it.
How many years would you say? What year was the incident with the vehicle?
Yeah, it was in the 90, I was in, gosh, when was that? That was probably in the early 90s when I got hit by the trucks.
Ask how old you were at that
Yeah, I was in college, so I was, think, 20 years old. So
great
I
20s.
was young.
You
And
say
then,
early.
I spent decades in the corporate world, right? I literally, climbed the corporate ladder and worked for very, very large corporations selling
Mhm,
enterprise software, and I was really good at it and I enjoyed it, but
mhm,
it was not fulfilling at all from a faithful perspective. And I literally was living only, the reason why I did that job
mm,
was because of the money I was making in that job. It wasn't because I was helping people. It wasn't because I was making I was making a better life for me and for my family and things that I wanted. I wasn't doing anything else for the world and or society. And so I kind of look back on that period of my life as a very selfish period. And man, when the pandemic hit and I had that second truck that changed my life, oh my gosh, right? I look back on my life right now, like, man, I'm sorry that Lord, I took that long to realize what's really meaningful in this world. And now I'm having a blast because I believe. That even though I continue to have issues and health struggles and things that are dramatically
mm.
different, and multiple trucks have hit this boy, right? I've had those first 2 trucks, and I've had a couple of other trucks that have hit me that are just dramatic. It's like, holy smokes, how many times is this guy gonna have to go through these things? But
What was it about the pandemic, if you don't mind me asking, that began to cause a stirring in your heart? Or was it the fear that the media that was being portray you could go outside and die if someone walked by you type of fear, or it was just a inner searching? Do you have any idea?
So here's literally what happened is the pandemic hit, right, and I'd lost my sales job because I was a travel salesperson. I live in
Okay.
the Central Oregon, and to try to travel over the Western states, which is where my territory was, I couldn't travel, so they downsized the sales team, and so it's the first time in decades that I didn't have a job. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, and I'm trying to figure out ways to keep my family safe. So I went back to my training, back to my athletic days. Is like, I knew that what you put in your mouth, right, changed your body. And so I knew that from those days. And so I went back and was like, okay, I'm going to keep my family safe. So I know how this body works, right? I know how to train it really well. I'm going to keep my family safe. I'm going to give them the right nutrients they need. And so I was doing all these research on ways to do that. And what really transformed my life was I saw a gentleman, a doctor, who was getting sued for billions of dollars with a B for talking about vitamin D. And I'm like, hold on, let me understand this. And I want to just talk about this skill set that I want everybody to have, right? Everybody needs to have this skill set of research. So just as a side note, you need to learn how to do research for your own on topics that you are interested in, and don't believe anything anybody tells you, right? Do your own research, find your sources of truth, and read both sides of the story, right? Read the good, read the right, or read the left, or read the top or the bottom, however you want to classify things. Read it all, but then start making up your own mind, right, on what's going on.
What do you call them? Going in without some sort of already preconceived.
Preconceived answers, right?
That's
Because
exactly it.
you will find the information is out there. It's just hard to find, because what
Mm,
I did find out through. So let me finish the vitamin D story, because it's important. So vitamin D, I knew, was a healthy thing from the sun, right? Without vitamin D, we don't have oxygen. right? Literally. So I'm like, okay, is vitamin D bad? Maybe it is. I did research on vitamin D. Vitamin D is 100% fine. It's natural, and it's an amazing element that God created. And then so I'm like, okay, so maybe this doctor, he just must have a lot of skeletons in his closet. He must be a really bad dude. So I had fun researching him, right? It's like, oh my gosh, let's uncover what the heck is bad with this guy. And I couldn't find anything wrong. He's like an all natural, holistic health doctor who's lived his life helping people. I'm like, okay, so I don't see, a lot what could be wrong with him. And I don't see anything wrong with vitamin D. I said, so why? Why are they suing him for billions of dollars? And then I started doing research on what the motivation for them to be able to do that. And that's what opened up a whole can of worms for me. And I started researching about our healthcare system and about big pharma. And I did research back in the early 1900s. Our healthcare system was really transformed and taken over by the Rockefellers. So if you go do some research on the Flexner report, you're going to uncover some really interesting things. And the more I uncovered and the more I researched and the more I understood about how our medical systems were taken over back then, it really transformed my entire life. I'm like, holy smokes. One is I really believe that we've been lied to a lot of our lives, and we didn't realize that there's been such good information control that's been going on in our society, where you hear it on the news, you hear it on the radio, you hear it in the music you listen to, you hear it, you read it in the newspaper. You hear this same story 5 different times from 5 different sources. You assume it's true. But what I did uncover was that a lot of our information is controlled. So that just really pissed me off, right? Really, really pissed me off. I'm like, how can this possibly? I'm 50 years old at this point, right? When I was researching all this, how can I be so deceived for that many years of my life? Because I'd always been so busy. I'd so busy with my corporate career, and I did a really good job of my career, and I researched everything about my particular products that I was selling and my clients that I was working with. And I was, had a wife and children, and was busy with their sports and busy with their activities. And I was just busy, busy, busy. So I never spent time researching anything. So as I got this skill set of research, I was like, holy smokes, there's so many things I don't understand. And I just had a blast digging in and researching and understanding things for myself. And I wasn't listening to the media. I wasn't listening to the right or the left. I was just going to figure out things for myself. And man, what I uncovered was so disheartening, but also empowering in the respect that, oh my gosh, what can I do as one little human being to make an impact in this world? And part of that, my faith story transformed dramatically at the same time, because my faith journey went from having a religion to a relationship, because I started doing, guess what, research on the Bible. And when I was doing research on the Bible, it was incredible. I finally read the entire Bible, right? I researched the authenticity of the Bible and did archaeology research and the prophetic research and the nature of the Bible. So you do, just the archaeology and the
Genealogies.
criticism.
Yeah.
There's so much proof that the Bible is authentic and reliable. It's undeniable. And so I'm like, okay, if this is all that, then let me read it, right? So I actually read it and listened to it multiple times. It's like, my gosh. So now I literally have a relationship with the Lord. And of course, I go to a church, but my church is Him, right? He is the relationship I have with Him. And He's been leading my life, directly for the last 5 or 6 years. And it's been so transformative. And everything that I do, I'm working with Him as a partner, right? It's like saying, Lord, you are my Savior, and I want to do your will. How can we work together or how can you help me, right? How can you help me today? And I've been working, and this transformed my life in a really dramatic fashion. And so I'm super excited about my faith walk, because I call myself a faith and health warrior, where I really want to help people with their health, because I've created a couple of health solutions companies where we create these amazing health products that I think really are going to have a dramatic impact on people's lives, which I'm super excited about. And then I'm hoping that through that conversion of their health, I can have a conversation with them about their faith as well, because those are the two things that are most important to me. At least that's what God is impressing me on, is like, I want you to go make an impact on this world, Rob. And it's not financial impact. It's like health and the faith. And if I can build some good kingdom businesses, guess what? Those kingdom businesses are going to help me fund helping people, right? So that's all I care about now, which is way different than what I was doing in the past.
Yeah, I grin from ear to ear because there's so much that just resonates with me, and the company SwagAbility uh, would hold deep convictions in our faith, and not just because you're told about it. I remember having to research both sides of it, and not even both sides, all sides of it. There's not all sides. And on that, before we start talking about some of what your research produced and some of the products, how would you advise someone to start researching, whether it be faith, whether it be product? What are the steps? Because some people don't even know like where to begin to do their own research. Can you give off the top of your head recommendations on how to?
I'd love to, because I think it's really important, right? Because you start trying to use technology to do research, and it's really frustrating. Like AI, as AI can do
Mhm.
so many things for you, but the problem is AI, for example, has been trained on all this data that is bad data, especially from a health
Mhm.
perspective. If you're talking about health, it's trained on all the research that's been done by big pharma. So big pharma owns the doctors, they own the scientists, they own the research, they own so much, and they control much of our world that you can't
Mhm.
rely upon the data that you're getting from these. And so that's also, unfortunately, with Google, right? You go to Google and you search stuff. They only show you the things they want you to see, right? So you literally have to
Mhm.
find search engines and things on the internet that are not controlled by these organizations that will feed up all information to you, right? So I use browsers like Brave. It was DuckDuckGo for a while, but now DuckDuckGo is even, it might could be potentially compromised by its ownership. And so you have to try to find these search engines that don't that are not censoring data. So then you can go actually find information that's out there. So if you go do research on the Flexner report, there's so much information about that you will find it on Google, and you will it's Flex, Flex, like Flex and then NER, Flexner. So go do some research on the Flexner report, and while you're at it, do research on Mockingbird, Project Mockingbird. Project Mockingbird was a project that's where really got me mad when I learned more about it. Is the CIA put out agents out into the media organizations, and there's really only 6 media organizations all across the world that own all of the thousands of news stations and newspapers and all the news that you get, and the social media feeds that you get come from these basically 6 organizations. They have assets. The CIA have assets out in the field, and they get their 4 a.m. talking points. And these 4 a.m. talking points are saying these are the things we need to talk about today. And then they are responsible for creating articles and or news segments related to that particular talking points. And so you hear it 3 or 4 different times as a consumer, and you assume it's true because you've heard the same thing, but just said in a little bit different way. Maybe you on the newspaper as you're driving into work, or the radio on the drive to work, and then you see it on a social media feed, and then you see it on the 5 o'clock news, or something like that. And you assume that whatever that is, it's true because you've heard it from 3 different, AKA reliable resources. And so that really frustrated me, because they can put together an agenda, and they can feed all this information out there, and they can control the narrative. They can control what people are thinking, and they can control what people are consuming from an information perspective. So anyway, that's a rabbit hole that's pretty wild when you go down and dig into it. And it's even been, so if you are second guessing Project Mockingbird, literally just recently in the last 6 months, the recent FBI director confirmed that was actually in place and is actually still in place today. So it's brand. It's not something they talked about it that it was canceled many moons ago, but it never was. So anyway, it's pretty crazy when you start realizing things like that. So you have to dig to find information. You have to really do some research and dig. You can't assume that the information you're getting is accurate. But then after you do this for a while, you will start finding resources that you believe are not compromised. And it changes all the time because you'll find one resource and you'll say, man, this person's really on it. They're really sharp. They're not controlled by big pharma. They're not controlled by big money. They're not, but then all of a sudden, boom, they switch and they go off the rails too, right? So you're just like, oh my gosh, that one. So now you take that one off the list but you do end up finding this core of information. At least you can kind of go off and say, okay, what is these set of people say about this particular topic? And I always go to him first, right? So I go to God for everything first, and then I do my research, and then together we come up with. I like to say that I'm making up my own mind on things nowadays instead of what the media tells me, right? And so the Lord and I go together, and He helps me make a lot of decisions about what's going on in the world.
From feeding your mind, let's talk about feeding your body. You went from, first of all, athlete and then corporate America, and now leading Exodus Strong and speaking at events and things like that. Tell us a little bit about Exodus Strong. You're researching and molecular hydrogen and just rediscovering healing in a different way than what we know it today.
Yeah, it's been fascinating. It's so much fun to learn because that's what my whole mission changed, right? When the pandemic hit, it's like, how can I keep my family safe? And I knew, early on, right, that nutrition was so important. So that's when I went back and I started researching. I was like, how am I going to keep my family safe? So I was researching, and I told you also that I was researching the Bible, right? I was learning more about the Bible. So I started researching the nutrients in the Bible. It's like, okay, what's in the Bible, right? What does the Bible say about food? And man, there's lots of herbs and superfoods that are in the Bible. So I had a lot of fun digging in, and I was just praying, it's like, Lord, help me find something that's in there that is really unique that no one else has figured out that I can really help the world with. And I was struggling because I could find lots of neat things within it, but it was already out there in the marketplace in one way or another. And so I'm like, well, that's really not anything different. But what happened is the Lord led me to this health practitioner in California who had this molecular hydrogen component. And when I was doing research on molecular hydrogen and what it does inside the body, there's hundreds of scientific reports on how the benefits of hydrogen inside the body. And I was explaining to him all of my biblical nutrients. I'm like, I'm trying to come up with this amazing combination. And what we ended up doing, the Lord brought us together where we've taken the benefits of molecular hydrogen and all of what it does, and I've added the 7 most appropriate and synergistic biblical ingredients that add value to what molecular hydrogen does to your body. And so it's really awesome. We have these 7 biblical ingredients, our organic barley grass and wheatgrass, which give you the nutrients that you're missing. So most people, with their food supply being so compromised today, that 70% of our food today is ultra processed food. So the nutrients are just not there. So, and all through my health research, your body needs 96 nutrients in a day, and we're not getting those. And so barley grass and wheatgrass give you a lot of that. Instead of drinking a green shake every morning, you can take your Exodus, which has the barley grass and wheatgrass. The third one is called saffron. Saffron is a very, very expensive element. It's actually more expensive than gold, which is pretty crazy. But saffron's got a lot of stress and mental clarity components to it. So a lot of companies, a lot of physicians will recommend just saffron to help you with stress. And so that's pretty awesome as part of our product. Then we have aloe, which is really good for gut health. I have a podcast and I interview holistic practitioners every week, and they always talk about how important gut health is to your overall body. If you can get your gut health working well, then your body can heal itself. God made this body so incredible that it will heal itself if you give it the right setup. And so the other three are cumin, frankincense, and myrrh. The combination of those three things help with inflammation. So lots of people, they have issues with their bodies, right? Aches and pains. So inflammation is a lot of times the source of those things. So if we can reduce inflammation in the body, then your body can feel a lot better. So and then so that's not even talking about molecular hydrogen. Molecular hydrogen, literally hydrogen is the base element that God created, right? So it's the smallest element in the world that he created, right? If you look at the Bible in Genesis, he created water before anything else. So he literally created hydrogen before anything. And so the ability to have hydrogen inside the body, it acts as a master antioxidant. So it goes in and finds the bad cells that are in the body and gets rid of them, because you don't want those bad cells sticking around. Once they've done their job, you want to get rid of them. But the mitochondrial process, which is the power, basically component of your bloods, is really important. And the molecular hydrogen enhances your mitochondrial process. So it gets rid of the bad stuff and it helps the good work better. So that's in a very small, simplified version of what molecular hydrogen does to the body. So you take those 7 biblical ingredients, which are awesome in and of themselves, and you amplify it with what molecular hydrogen does. And there's just no other products in the world like Exodus. So I'm so excited to bring it to the world because it has so many health benefits to people. And I think it's going to just be an amazing, I think it'll be a household name in 12 months, just because it helps people in such a dramatic fashion. I believe people are going to see it all over the place and say, hey, how do I get that Exodus product? So I don't have to take these 5 different supplements that I'm taking now. I can go take one. And Exodus is amazing.
How long did the process of studying molecular hydrogen with your partner and then your research into the biblical documents to formulate these 7 items that you're speaking of, how long of a period did that take?
That's a great question. It took us about a year to kind of finalize the formula, because we started off with like 28 or something like that ingredients in the Bible that we're like, okay, is this one fit? Is this one fit? And there's some awesome ingredients in the Bible. We wanted to find something that was synergistic, right? All the things that would amplify what molecular hydrogen does, and then also molecular hydrogen would amplify the effectiveness of the nutrients. So it really had to come down to the right combination. We prayerfully selected those 7 as the right ingredients that would complement what the hydrogen does. So, but it's a God-created product for sure. And one of the things I like about it that is so important is, one of the things that I've done in my past from a runner's perspective is, I know that the mind is so powerful, right? Your mind, there's actually lots of scientific evidence about the power of your mind. Your mind can literally control your body. And so I know the mind is very powerful, but I also know the spirit is very powerful. And if you can combine your spirit and your mind and your body together, the whole mind, body, spirit connection is real. And if you can combine the power of those 3 things together and you can focus it on your health, you're going to be a much, much better and healthier person. So we include an actual prayer guide that goes with our product, because it's got an intention. So you're literally saying this out loud, and you're telling your body this intention. Your mind is working on your behalf, and then you're saying a prayer, right? And then you're praying, you're using the spirit connection of it, and then you're actually saying God's word. You say out loud a Bible verse that we provide for you. So you combine those 3 things and you do it with your mouth. You're declaring it. There's power in the tongue, as the Bible tells us. Using your eyes to read it, your ears to hear yourself say it. And then you take the supplement that goes inside the body, and literally mind, body, spirit connection to help you with your health. There's no other product in the market like it today, and we believe it's transforming people's lives for the better. It's really super fun.
How have you, obviously, you're taking a regimen of it, and can you give us some stories, either about yourself or people that have taken it and what benefits they have found to the products.
Yeah, there's so many different stories. It's so much fun. I did, literally went to a conference this last weekend, and one of the gentlemen was like, "This product is a game changer." He called it. It's like, "This is so amazing." He literally has the energy and sustained energy throughout the day that he didn't used to have, and so he was able to take 2 capsules in the morning, and it gives him the sustained energy throughout the day. So instead of taking an extra shot of coffee in the afternoon or taking that energy drink that our kids are drinking, right, you get this sustained energy that God gave you. So the nutrients that the product has in it, as well as the molecular hydrogen, they both combine to give you natural energy. So it has lots of those health benefits that I was talking about earlier, or could potentially help you with all those. Or I can't make any claims that our product's going to do anything, but I can say it could potentially help you with a lot of things. And one of the ones that is most often reported back is energy. And me personally, I have a heart condition called bradycardia, or I did. And when I had bradycardia, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I would crash. I literally would have a 4-shot coffee in the morning. And then in the afternoon, about 2 o'clock, I'd have to go find me another 4-shot latte somewhere because I needed that extra boost of caffeine.
Mm.
Right. And that just unfortunately is one of those ups and down things, but I always needed it. And man, with Exodus, it's so beautiful because I don't need that afternoon boost anymore, because it literally gives me this sustained energy. And it's not an energy where you feel like wired. It just gives you good energy, right? You feel better. You feel well. You don't feel exhausted. You don't feel tired. And so it's just absolutely fascinating to see how it transitions your body. We get people that have inflammation, and the inflammation is reduced dramatically. Not one of the things, but every woman over 40 has 5 different things that happen to their bodies, and Exodus fits all 5 of them. So let me go through them really, really quick. One of them is your cells start shrinking, and so they're losing their hydration. So this product Exodus hydrates your cells, so that helps you a lot. It resets your circadian rhythm. So it helps people sleep better, which that's what people were so amazed at. Or they thought, okay, it gives me energy during the day, but I sleep well. This is interesting. The third one is, I told you earlier, it gets rid of those zombie cells, gets rid of the bad cells. So that's an important third one. The fourth one is your metabolic rate. As you age, your metabolism slows down. This product helps reset the metabolic sensor, so that your metabolism improves, which is pretty crazy. And the fifth one is that whole mind, body, spirit connection, right? You get those 3 aligned together, and you're really going to help your health. So we get the reports all across the board, from just, I'm achy, I don't feel well, and all of a sudden now I feel great. And then you get people like, hey, this is a game changer. I feel so good. One woman, a great example, is she'd had to actually sleep in a different bed than her husband, because she'd get these, as you age, you go through your progression, you end up having a lot of women have night sweats, right? And or hot flashes, as they call them. And she was so excited because after she started taking Exodus, she reported that she didn't have them anymore. And she's like so excited because she's actually able to sleep in the same bed with her husband again. So it's just pretty awesome when you can help people like that.
It must be very fulfilling work, not when you're excited about making a profit, but when you're excited about helping others get their
Yes.
health back, and
Amen.
you have that energy in you, listening to you to speak about it. Where can people find your
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Exodus is an easy word to remember, right? It's the second book in the Bible, but just do the Exodus, then do strong, right? You get exodusstrong.com is the best way to find the product. And it's just an amazing way to get the product. We have subscriptions that are less expensive if you want to try those, because we get them auto shipped to you. We give you a discount to do that. And it's just a amazing way to try the product. It's pretty awesome.
Tell us a little bit about, you're the voice behind the I Am Pain Free podcast. How long has your podcast been running? And what can people expect to hear from your show?
Yeah, it's really fun. I'm so excited about that podcast because I have been doing it for a year, and I'm just transitioning it. I'm actually rebranding it to the Biohackingville podcast. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm so impassioned about the body and the human body, and how we can do natural things to help you with your health, there's more than just paint, right? It's we're talking about all things to help the body, and so it's really fun. I and interviewing these health practitioners. I've got 5 episodes that have been recorded, and I'm starting a live show every Wednesday evening at 5 p.m. Central Time. Is going to be my live podcast. It'll be on the radio, on a live distribution, and then sent out every week. That is going to be a blast because I'm interviewing a lot of holistic health practitioners. How are they helping people? How are they making a difference? And how can we collectively work together to make a difference in this world? Integrative oncology is a really important topic that is near and dear to my heart. There's a lot of people in this world that are affected by the big cancer word. And I believe that there's lots of ways that people can get help. And so I'm interviewing people, best people all across the world, right, who are helping people. And a lot of our information in the United States, unfortunately, is controlled, especially with advanced therapies and alternative therapies. And so I'm just interviewing anybody and everybody I can to say, hey, look, here's a bunch of options for you. So, and a part of that biohackingville process, I'm creating a community called Biohackingville that is a community of people where you can go learn about all these integrative oncology options that you have, as well as just, hey, you're interested in red light therapy, for example. We got resources there. We just so I'm excited about what we're putting together with Biohackingville, because it'll be my podcast, it'll be a newsletter, it'll be a community that just talks about all natural health in a very effective way. And of course, since religion and faith are so important to me, we're going to have a subsection in there that's related to how can you pray for healing, right? How can you use your faith to help you with your health? So that'll be a component of the community as well.
Speaking of health, when it comes to addiction, what steps can individuals take to get their body, mind, and soul who are suffering from addiction, from whether it's prescribed medication or whatever that's being used in a wrong way? I don't know if you've dealt with addiction in your life or whatever, but do any of the products support growth for that?
Yeah, that's an actually awesome question, and it's going to be an interesting answer, because I was addicted to alcohol for 25 years of my life,
You were.
and so I guess you would say I'm a recovering alcoholic, right? You can say I don't declare that I am. I'm declare that I'm free and of all addictions, but I drank every single day. And about 7, 8 years ago, I literally stopped. And had this transition where I just felt really bad. And I was overweight and I was out of shape. And I just knew that my body was declining. And it was literally because I was poisoning myself every single day. And man, I'm so excited about the transition off of that, because when I did make that decision to finally change, it wasn't easy, but I did it, and I did it with the Lord's help. I did it with my wife's help, and I was able to transition out of that addiction. And I think it's very, very important that you do, because your body gets accustomed to having this drug inside it, and then it accommodates it, right? And it adjusts, and it just becomes this crutch in your body that just is a downward spiral. So you need to, God didn't make your body to be addicted. He made your body wonderfully and fearfully. And if you give it the right nutrients, it will heal itself. And so that's what's beautiful about like the Exodus product itself, is it has the saffron in it, which helps with the anxiety and stress, which a lot of people do drugs or they do alcohol because of they're trying to escape from things. So Exodus gives them that ability to get through issues without having to put a drug in your body. You're putting a natural current supplement inside the body. Then it gives you the nutrients that you're missing, right? When you're drinking and you don't eat right, you don't eat well. And so it really does help a lot. I have a very, very dear friend of mine who is a more recent recovering alcoholic, and he's using Exodus, and he cannot believe how much it's helping him. He's just so excited about it. He's like, I have to have my Exodus. It's literally helping him get through the day, through the difficult time as you're going through that process. Anyway, I'm passionate about helping people related to that, because I believe that once you make the decision, it's definitely not an easy decision. I get it. I understand more than anybody does. But at the same point, I know it can be overtaken and it can be won. and God can help you with it, right? And so can I. So I think there's lots of other people who've been through the battle that you can rely upon and say, hey, if that guy did it, I can do it too, right? Because I'm nobody special. I'm just a man of God that I'm here on this earth for a reason, and I believe that maybe you heard this conversation today as the saying, if that guy can do it, then surely I can as well. So I just encourage you that, man, if you have breath in your lungs today, you have hope, and that God has a plan for your life. So don't be discouraged or disparaged. Just know that He does have a plan for your life. So what is it, right? And to just start searching out what that is, but just have the confidence that you do. He does have a plan. You're still alive, right? And if you're still alive, you can make a change. You are powerful. You are strong, right? You have hope. And when you have hope, you can do anything. So just want to instill that in people, to give them God does have a plan for your life, and we can all work together to make this world a better place, just one person at a time. Maybe it's you now getting well so that you can help your neighbor, right? Or maybe you have a friend who's struggling as well. Man, if you get well, guess what? Maybe they can get well as well. And then we can just start this snowball effect of helping people and helping the world. And this place is going to be a much better place if we can love each other and we can work together and give people hope. So that's what I'm so passionate about.
There's not a doubt in my mind that you're passionate about it. I don't think I've seen so much energy from one man on a podcast. Rob, I appreciate your story and what you've not just survived, but what you've allowed God to rebuild. And I'm looking forward to 2.0 of our conversation down the road. Is there anything new? You have 7 products out. The things new that you're excited about that's coming out?
Yeah, we have some really fun things that are related to frequencies, and we have some frequency patches that's under a different brand called QE Strong, and we're going to combine those patches into the Exodus Strong world because they're having such a big impact on people's lives. It literally uses frequencies rather than medicine to help you with things, and the more I research about frequencies, they're not as weird as you think they are. God made this body made up of energy, right? And your body's made up of energy. It interacts both positive and negatively to frequencies, right? So there's bad frequencies like 5G, and I'm sure your audience has heard about some bad things related to that. But there's also really good frequencies. If you can give your body good frequencies, your body can react and help you do things within the body that are just phenomenal, right? God created this world so cool and so amazing that the scientists still haven't figured it all out. And so we're combining this nutrition inside the body information with these frequencies and external frequencies, and you're combining the two, and there's nothing like it, right? And then you combine the power of prayer, right? God could just heal you just by you asking, right? And you believing that you can be healed. He can heal you. So we're trying to teach people how to pray for healing as well, because if you do it right, guess what? All it takes is the Jehovah Rapha touch from the Lord, and He can heal you. So let's teach people how to do that too.
Amen. Rob, I can't thank you enough for hanging out for a few minutes and for enlightening us on what is available. I would encourage people to check out your website, exodusstrong.com. Look for it's the I Am Free podcast now, but being rebranded, to check out more of this on a weekly, or is it a twice a week? How often are you?
Yeah, it'll be a weekly podcast. Yeah.
Very good. And I appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you down the road. Folks, don't forget to check out SwagAbility.com. Our whole desire is very much similar in a way that we want to see you thrive in whatever circumstances life finds you in. You can check out information on our website, and you could do us the greatest honor of all, and that would be subscribing to us on our YouTube channel, and to help get the word around and share it with those who need encouragement. And so until next time, friends, stay encouraged, stay faithful, and keep thriving wherever life finds you. Swags out.